This orchard's about 150 acres.
And these trees are how old?
That would be a half-mile wide by a half-mile long.
And how old are these trees?
These trees are about 8 years old.
So how long did it take for them to get to a point where they were producing a good crop? How many?
5 to 6.
5 to 6
Yeah.
years, okay.
5 years if you have a really good orchard. This is a really productive variety, especially in our area. We got a pretty good crop on the 5th year. You can actually walk out here and look at this orchard, which is not ours, it's another orchard. And those trees were planted last year about November 1st. So they're not quite a year old yet. Actually, I take that back. Farmers are wrong sometimes. Those trees are 2 years old.
2 years old, okay.
Those were planted November 2007. So they're almost 2 years old.
And they're not producing a crop yet because it takes a while for these trees to get...
The tree just has to mature. Actually, a walnut tree does bloom. It's not a typical flower. It's more of a tassel. And the trees have to get to a certain maturity level to start producing a tassel. This is kind of a neat deal here. If you look at the first row of trees, those trees were planted at the same time as the second row of trees. But before we actually leveled this field.
You're saying this one on the left here,
yes,
is the first row, which are smaller trees. They were planted at the same time as those others.
Yes. The difference is, before we came in and leveled this field, they had it surveyed. They actually were not farming where the road was. Actually, I take that back. Where the first row of trees are was the old road. Well, they had the field surveyed, and they surveyed it where they could fit one more row of trees in, so we actually moved the road from where it was. We moved it over about 20 feet so they could plant this extra row of trees. Well, from years and years of driving equipment, driving vehicles, obviously you don't disc a road or fertilize a road or, you know, manage a road like you would an orchard or an alfalfa field. That's the difference in the condition of the soil and the fertility of the soil.
Wow.
So those trees, when they were planted, either went through a shock because of the condition of the ground, lack of fertilizer, maybe buildup of salt from not being irrigated. When you flood irrigate, one of the main benefits of flood irrigation is it pushes salts down. It flushes salts down. And the 99% of all plants, things that we grow in agriculture do not like salt. So the more that you can flush down, the farther you can push that away from the roots, the better off you are. So that's kind of a good comparison. You know, you think, wow, those trees are, you know, a third of the size. They must have been planted, you know, a lot later than the other ones. Well, that's a example of soil conditions, fertility of the soil. So yeah, it's kind of neat when you see that.